Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryan Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yo. Chapter 12, the 4 yogas. You've seen for whom what type of practice is recommended. For an emotional personality, when we say emotional personality, we mean predominantly emotional. So that word predominant you have to keep adding. For emotional personality, recommended path is Bhakti Yoga. For intellectual, Jnana Yoga. For active, Karma Yoga. For indolent, Hatha Yoga. Through these practices, what is supposed to happen is you shed the bulk of your vasanas, desires, attachments, involvement, ego, etc. When that falls off, you are ready for the next spiritual discipline, which is common for everyone. Now here there is no personality type. This is for everyone. Post practice of the spiritual disciplines, you drop the bulk of desires. After that, all of them have to go through this process of meditation, dhyana. And through meditation, you realize the self. Now, this is the process. Now, here we have to start the study of each discipline. The first one he takes up is to study Bhakti Yoga, path of devotion. As I did mention, first he would explain what is not Bhakti, and then what is Bhakti, and then who is a Bhakta. These are the 3 points. Same way, what is not knowledge, what is not Jnanam, then what is Jnanam, what is Jnana Yoga, or you can take it as what is not Jnana Yoga, what is Jnana Yoga, and who is a Jnani. That's how the process will go. Now coming to the text. As we go, I will explain what is Bhakti and all that. It's such a, fascinating idea. Bhakti. In fact, of the 4 yogas, he dismisses Hatha Yoga in 1 paragraph. He spends only 1 paragraph for explaining Hatha Yoga. That's all. There's nothing much on that. And then with reference to Karma Yoga, he spends few paragraphs. Slightly more explanation is given for Jnana Yoga. Maximum explanation is given for Bhakti. Right. More the explanation means what? More misunderstanding is there. Right. More explanation means more misunderstanding. More explanation means more difficult to understand. When an idea is more difficult, it needs to be explained more. Either this or that. Now we have to identify whether Bhakti Yoga is falling into which category. Is it because it is difficult to understand, or is it because there is a lot of misunderstanding we have? Now, either case, we need to pay attention here. But what he is doing is this: he's spending a lot of time explaining bhakti. We'll go through it. As it is, we are going slow, right? We'll try to go a little slower than usual speed, right? So that you pay attention to every fiber of it, every aspect of it, decode it slowly. Bhakti, page number 211. Second paragraph. Bhakti Yoga, path of devotion. Bhakti means devotion. And Bhakti Yoga is the path of devotion designed for persons in the emotional category. Generally misconstrued as a path of blind faith, superstitious belief, or mechanical ritual. Bhakti is not merely a fanatic attachment to a personal god to the exclusion of other gods. Nor does it mean a zealous upholding of a cult or creed against others. Yet, people throughout the world follow these practices without probing into their validity. And religious prayer and worship is directed merely to gain either material benefit or mental solace. What is happening, he says. First thing what he is doing here is he is explaining, as I said, first he says what is not bhakti. And for which he gives few points here. Every sentence is a point. He says, there is a misunderstanding we have to take bhakti means blind faith. Bhakti means superstitious belief. Bhakti means mechanical ritual. Mechanically, when you perform certain rituals, you consider that person to be a bhakta. He's a great devotee, we say. Or you hold on certain superstitions. Or you have some blind faith. And then he says, bhakti also is taken to mean a fanatic attachment to a personal god. One deity, my God. That's it. My God is a true God. All other gods are demons. All other people calling their gods, all your gods are all demons. Okay. Only my God is a true God. This is considered to be bhakti. Right? It's considered to be he is a great devotee, is what we think. Or holding on to some cult, some group, some creed that we get involved with, some association, some ashram or some organization, somewhere you get associated with, and then you hold on to that. Rest of your life you are hanging there. That is another one, he says. Follow these practices without getting into their validity. What is the true value of it? Is it valid? No application of that. And then he says, one more point he has this: worship, prayer, bhakti, devotion, all this is directed only for two reasons. Either for material benefit or mental peace. So let's either some benefit I have to get. Then you go and do that worship. You go to that temple, this one, that one, and all that. Now here what we have to do is, we have to take up one by one the points. What are the points we have to take? Blind faith. Then superstition. Then mechanical ritual. Then fanatic attachment. And then involvement with that particular creed or cult. And then material benefit or solace. 7 points. 7 ideas he gives here. Now, delete all the 7. You will not have any devotion after that. You will feel that you are a person, no devotion, sir. Where is devotion without all these things is what we will think. So the first thing he gives is, it says blind faith. It's so difficult, I tell you. Bhakti is, to understand. It's difficult to explain. Understanding is one aspect of it. Another aspect of it is to explain it. Explaining Bhakti is so difficult. You have to see someone in the devotion. Only then you can understand. Our problem is we see people having devotion only in this brackets. It is just a blind faith. Blindly you have to have your faith. That's it. You have to believe. Say no reason, no logic. Blind acceptance of things. There you don't probe yourself. The blindness. Or the superstitious belief. Superstitious beliefs, in the sense, few years back, one person took me to his house, and he had one, a fish tank in his house. And he showed to one particular fish and said, do you know this fish? I said, I don't know about fishes. I know only shark. That's all. Otherwise, I have no idea about fishes. That too because of the movie Jazz. That's all. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that also. Thanks to that movie, he had some knowledge we have about it. That's about. Whether it is true or false also, we don't know. We have, they come and attack you and all that, So what is this? He said, this is called Vastu fish. There's a thing called Vastu fish. And the best part is, then he told me, how much is it, sir? I was really, got interested. All that I have to do is, close down this business of Vedanta and have, Vastu fish sales. I would have made a lot of money. Waste of time, teaching Vedanta, explaining, nothing you get. Vastu fish. What it will do? That poor fish, he says, will absorb all the negative vibrations. What is your size? What are you? What is your level in the scale of evolution where you stand, where the fish stands? If the fish is capable of all that, even if it has the power to absorb it, can it digest it? Imagine a fish has the power to receive it, okay? Does it have the capacity to digest it? It's like sending an electric signal, electric shock. We are capable of taking that 12 volts, 25 volts electricity, we can hold live wire. Some of the electricians have the knack of doing things with the live wire itself. They can. In 2 seconds, tuck, 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 they finish and do live. Because they say that much of electricity power is not there, low voltage, so we can manage. Our body can take. You put that same voltage on that fish, what it can do? It cannot do anything. But this fellow was sold. This guy believed in that. He caught the fish and he's keeping it in the house. I said, fantastic. What is the superstitious belief? This is called superstition. Vastu fish. It's called superstition. As though that is going to be deciding your thing. You are exploiting the innocent animal, even if it has the power to take it. Because it is innocent, you are putting it as a, in the olden, this militants they were doing, they were shielding themselves. Army could not attack that area. Why they could not attack? Because they were shielding that area with kids and women. So they can't do anything. The army cannot shoot at them. And these guys will be standing behind them and keep shooting. Army cannot retaliate back. It is a big, this one. That's exactly what we are doing here. In fact, fishes is even more sympathetic one. Animal kingdom is not even human. You are expecting that to be shielding you, and you are hiding behind that. I said, do you have any application, any thinking? And even if it has that power, can you do that? Does it have that? That's what he means. No inquiry into their validity. What am I doing? Nothing of that. Just taking it up and doing it. And that fellow looks so devotional person. And he will do puja to that fish also. He'll take care of the fish. He will do everything for the fish. All that is the same thing we do for these things. Blind faith. Blindly accepting things without any inquiry into it. This bhakti, devotion, it has a tinge of blindness in you. The devotion, that's the beauty of it. Yes, the faith that you carry, you can carry it only if there is a tinge of blindness. But you are blind to what? There is blindness. Now, any discussion you have about devotion, immediately parallelly you keep love. Okay, we can understand. In love also there is blindness. No? A person who is in love will become irrational in nature. He will not have rationality behind it. In love, you can't be logical. If a person says logically I am in love, that means that love is a fake. In love, there is this. What is that you are blind to in love? There is blindness, there's no doubt about it. There is blindness in bhakti. You cannot escape that blindness. That is why devotion is not possible for an intellectual person. You can't recommend the path of bhakti to an intellectual because blindness he can't take. He cannot accept that darkness. An emotional person is very comfortable in darkness. He has no problems. He will live happily. Right? Like we have owl comfortably can see in the darkness. Crow cannot see in the darkness. It can see only in the light. Daytime only its vision works. Owl's vision works only in the night. Now you can't ask a crow to go in search of food during night time, nor can you ask the owl to go in search of its food during daytime. Owl will hunt only in the night. And crow will hunt only in the daytime. It will never go in search of food. That's what it is. There is blindness in bhakti. You can't delete that blindness in devotion. Why? In any emotion, there is blindness. Remember that. In any emotion, it's nothing to do with bhakti alone, please. In anger, there is blindness. In jealousy, there is blindness. In kindness, there is blindness. In compassion, there is blindness. In love, there is blindness. Any emotion you take, there is blindness. But the question is, in compassion, in love, you are blind to something. In jealousy and anger, you are blind to something else. That's the only difference. You are blind to what makes a difference. But blindness is common for both. When I am in love, I am blind to your faults. When I love you, I cannot see the faults of my beloved. That's called love. Same way, when I have jealous, I cannot see. When I am in anger, I cannot see what is good on the other. I am blind to the good side of the other. I am blind to the dark side of the other. There you have anger, you have love. But either case, you are blind to something. You see, you cannot escape. Any emotion you experience, you cannot escape blindness. When it becomes a problem, but then he says, blind faith. First thing he dismisses is blind faith. He says, devotion is not blind faith. Now, first point he is dismissing is that. He says, don't get into it. Why? It's because most difficult thing to dismiss is blind faith. Very easy thing to dismiss is going to God for material benefit or mental solace. That everybody says now. You see, you don't require a master to come and tell this today. You should not go to God, pray for wealth. You may not, but the person who is going will always be. That's what, Purni was saying yesterday. He said, Dad, I don't know why. Every time I go for exam, I become a theist. After exam, I become atheist. Why? She was asking. I said, that's the rule for everyone. The day before exam, everybody becomes a great bhaktas only. He says, in the exam hall, there are so many gods are there. No, someone come and help me, man. A woman. He says, someone come. No, so many are there. No, none of you come down. He says, after exam, what are you again? You see, material wealth, when you are not suffering from the lack of material wealth, it is very easy for you to say, philosophize and say, don't go to God and ask for wealth. Same way, when you are not distressed, to say, don't go to God for mental solace is a great philosophy to talk. But can you actually practice it is the point. See, can you actually bring it into your life? When you are in distress, you go to the temple and not ask for solace. When you are lacking that material well-being, going to God, going to temple, not ask for that bit of wealth, that bit of health, that bit of this, everything. Now election has come, no. People have started chanting shlokas now. In the public one, All wrong. Right? At least they have to chant. Why? Otherwise, no vote. So if I have to get vote, what I have to do? So I go to that place for what I'm going, not for this. I'm going for this. Now, if he is not contesting for election, let's say, will he do that? Or if there is no election, will he do it? He is not going to do it. But during election time, he will do it. During exam time, the child will go to temple. There he will do, correct. This is very easy to understand. What is so difficult in understanding bhakti is how much of blindness is allowed there, beyond which it becomes blind faith. Faith itself means X amount of blindness. You cannot know everything and be having faith. Then it is called knowledge. If you know everything, then it is knowledge. It's not faith anymore. Faith itself means what? In uncertainty, you subscribe to some idea certainly. That is called faith. Like a man gave a beautiful example. You take a child, throw the child in the air. As the child is falling, it laughs. Imagine if I take you and throw in the air. I can't do it. Right? Imagine somebody takes you and throws you. When you are falling from the air, will you be laughing? But the child laughs. Why? It has that firm conviction. What? You will catch me. I will not fall. I will not go there. I won't beat that thing. I would be safe. Your hands will come and catch me before that. That faith is there. Is there a guarantee? There's no guarantee. When the child is in the mid-air, there is no guarantee. But the child is laughing. You see, that is called faith. The faith experience is that. That's what Rabindranath Tagore says. Faith is a bird. Faith is a bird that feels the light and sings while the dawn is still dark. That's called faith. It's a bird that feels the light and sings, and it is all darkness. How does it sing? It knows for certain that just a question of time, the sun is about to rise. And no sign of sun rising. During dawn, no sign of sunrise. 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, there's no sign of sunrise. You cannot. No clue you have. But the birds start singing. How is it, sir? That's called faith. The faith has that power is to plunge into unknown without any proof. That's called faith. So faith is, there is no proof. Without any proof, you have to plunge into that which is not known to you. That blindness is there in faith. Then what we do is, in faith itself, there is X amount of blindness. On top of that, we add one more layer of blindness. That's where it becomes blind faith. You see, faith itself has some blindness. Dark areas are there, patches are there, unknown is there. On top of that, you add a blindness. That adding blindness to that That's what in Zen, they have a beautiful one. A student, a teacher asked the Zen child, master, he is a avatar Purusha. That fellow. The teacher asked him, 1 plus 1 is what? Add 1 to 1. What happens? That man gave a reply. He said, bigger one comes. I was really stunned. I said, how can a fellow think like that, But he is correct. 1 plus 1 is bigger one. 1 plus 1 is 1. He said, the teacher couldn't understand him. What do you mean? It's 2. He said, I don't know about it. 1 plus 1 is 1. In fact, it's a bigger one. The teacher couldn't understand. What are you talking? The boy said, come here. He took the teacher to the mountain top. Do you see the tributaries flowing? From this side, one comes. From this side, one comes. Both merges and becomes a bigger river. He says 1 plus 1 is bigger one. That's real. A fascinating idea. There is. You need that capacity to see it. And the teacher, as usual, no teacher will understand a brilliant student. He didn't give marks. He failed him in that exam. The boy didn't mind. Moved out. Says, what is this? This faith, sir. Faith itself has this. On top of that, when you add a layer to it, darkness plus darkness becomes what, sir? Greater darkness. Like 1 plus 1 becomes bigger one. Like that. As it is, there is something which you cannot do. You cannot remove that dimension of it. Never expect it, please. That's what the mistake people do. People wanting to remove that blindness out of it. It's like wanting to remove the blindness out of love. How can you? That's why they say beauty lies in beholder's eyes. Beauty is not inherent in the object. It is in beholder's eyes. In my eye, he or she looks beautiful. To my eye, it is. To others' eye, it may not be. Others may have their own things. Depends on you. You see. It has that blindness. But the problem is, we say we should never bring in that thing. In love, in devotion, what is the blindness you get into? That's why you need to, if you have to understand devotion, you should have experienced at least the worldly love. You see? The local love you should have experienced. If you have not experienced local love, there is no way we can understand. You see? That's why devotion, it's easy to explain to a teenager. To a teenager, devotion is easy to explain. To senior citizens, say, devotion now you can't explain. Where today you ask them about love, hatred. You talk about hatred to a 65, 70-year-old fellow. He said, I don't hate anyone, nor do I love anyone. You have never tasted love, you have gone away from both actually. You have become incapacitated for both. At least go back to trace back your steps, old memories. If not, watch a movie. We recommend few movies to watch for people. Watch those. At least there, vicariously you understand what is that love means. Love, I have told you, love Anytime we discuss about love, immediately you got to remember Majnu, not Laila. If you remember Laila, something wrong with you. See, Majnu, you should remember. That is love. The same thing when it is directed towards the higher, it becomes devotion. Right? But the properties remain the same. The properties of love and the properties of devotion will remain the same. What is that blindness in love? You are blind to the blemish. That's called love. This is what we are calling as blindness. Remember, when we say blind, you got to immediately ask this question, blind to what? You're blind to that blemish. When you are in love, automatically you experience that the object of love becomes more important than you to you. I repeat, the object of love becomes more important, more valuable to you than yourself. See, a lady gets so scared of a street dog. The street dog barks at her. She freezes. She gets so scared. Next day, she sees from a distance a lion is pouncing on her child. Where she will be? And a lion is about to attack the child. Where she will be? She will be in the mouth of the lion. That is love. That is a mother. See, mother means that. From where she got that, sir? How is it that her life, her pain, her things becomes insignificant? Suddenly, previous day, she was so scared of the dog. A person who is scared of a dog is not scared of a lion means what? From where that courage comes? From where all that comes? It comes from her love to the child. To protect the child, she is willing to give up her own life. She gives herself to the lion and says, take me, but spare my child. That is love. Why she is able to do that? That's the nature of love, where the moment you are in love, the object of love, the other, becomes far more important, far more valuable to you than anything in the world, including your own life. That Laila thought, the relationship with Laila, the presence of Laila had become so important to Majid. He didn't care about the palace. He didn't care about the luxuries. He didn't care about the reputation. He didn't care about anything. A fellow was in the streets. He's in the streets, actually, Ramtita says. He's in the streets. When his father comes and says, Dave, don't insult me like this. Come home. First, let's go home. We'll discuss there. To which Majnu asks back, what do you mean home? What is home? Where is it? He couldn't understand the meaning of the word home. Now, what do you mean home means what? That much of madness, that much of blindness that love takes you. Why all this is there? Because the other becomes far more important to you than yourself, than anything in the world. If that same emotion is directed towards God, then what happens then? Same rule is applicable here also. What is it? You become blind to the world and you become so insignificant in the presence of that object. That is why to an object of love, any amount you give, anything you do, you never feel that you have done enough. You have expressed fully. I've seen that. It's all peak of emotions. Emotional peaks you should have experienced. That's why we said bhakti is meant for emotional person. Only an emotional person goes to the peaks of emotion, extremes. He goes to that peak of emotional heights. In that emotional heights, he does experience what? What? Anything I have offered to that, whatever is done to it, whatever I have given, whatever I have value added, offered, everything looks insignificant, incomplete. He is never satisfied. He never feels, yeah, I have given so much to you. I have done so much to you. What more you want from me? If the discussion starts, means what? There is no love. You see, what have you done to me? What I have done to you. And always the fight is what? What I have done to you is more than what you have done to me. In that fight, wife will always win that debate. That's why if you are a smart man, you never start the debate. Intelligent man should never get into that discussion. In the first starting part, you say, yeah, you have done much more than me, and get out. Because they will give details. You see, men will not give details. They will give details, so they found. Mother's Day, you get so inspired. Father's Day, yeah, okay. Who cares? Father is always taken for granted. You see, only fathers will understand it. Mother will never understand it. Okay, forget about my personal problems. Okay, let's get on to the discussion now. Bhakti. I'm just joking, don't take it literally. It's bhakti. The first problem is this. The next one he says is the superstitious belief. Now, superstitious belief, superstition is what? Without having a clear connection between the cause and effect, you just pitch up something as a cause, something as an effect. That is called superstition. Unconnected things getting connected without any reason, without any derivation. Just connecting two things. Example, pass two fish. An example. Right? Pass two fish is the example of that. Simply bring something and keep. All that will be taken out. This one, and then this idea of, this you have all the superstitious beliefs or mechanical rituals. And the best part is, the part and parcel of bhakti practice is doing certain rituals. That's where the problem is. You go to a bhakti school and say, okay, I want to do bhakti. What am I supposed to do? Immediately they will start giving you a list of things to do. This is what you are supposed to do, that you have to do, this you have to do. All this is what just the ritual. That's about it. What type of ritual will vary from place to place. Okay. Right. It's not that it's going to be the same everywhere. In Vishnu temple, you do one thing. In Shiva temple, you do one thing. In Gurudwara, you do something else. In church, you do something else. In mosque, you do something else. But doing remains the same, all those places. You do something repeatedly over and over again, the same thing. Repeating something again and again is called a ritual. Right? That is a must to be there. You can't escape from rituals, remember. But then he adds a factor to it. So what you have to do is blind faith, superstitious belief, mechanical ritual. Here, the accent is not, he is not criticizing, he is not saying something wrong with the faith, something wrong with the belief, something wrong with the ritual. No, it is the adjective there. That is where the problem. Mechanically, when you do a ritual, is what is done today, and that is passed on by people as bhakti. Ritual is not the problem. The problem is mechanicalism. When does a ritual becomes a mechanical? You do the ritual. When it becomes mechanical, that's when we have to probe. This is one way of understanding. By understanding what is wrong, we can infer what is right. You see, this is one way of understanding. Then he will go on to add what is more right. That's how he is explaining the whole topic. The entire discussion of bhakti evolves like that. So first thing what he is doing is this. Says mechanical ritual. Ritual is not wrong. Now we have started attacking the rituals. We have started attacking the beliefs. We have started attacking the faith. We said no faith, no belief, no ritual. There should not be any faith, there should not be any beliefs, there's no faith, no rituals. By that, I'm going to know. That will kill the very juice of bhakti. That will destroy your bhakti. Remember, what you have to delete is the blindness, is the superstition, is the mechanicalism. When does a ritual become mechanical? That is the point. Ritual by itself will not become mechanical. Remember, now how can a ritual by itself become mechanical? Right? It is performed in a particular way, becomes mechanical or otherwise. What is performing rituals in a mechanical manner? Right. That is the question we ask. Okay. Now, I am performing the ritual. The ritual itself I am performing for what? Why does a ritual is recommended to me? A ritual is recommended to me. I have to do it repeatedly. Ritual, by definition, it means you have to do it repeatedly over and over again and again and again and again and again. So that something should happen in you. After that happening, what to do, sir? That we will see later on. Okay. It's like saying, I am going to study medicine. Okay, you study and read and read and read and read and study. I'm going to study law. Read and read and read and read and read and you study law, you get the degree, law degree you have got. After that, do you study law or not? After you get that medical certificate, medical degree, do you study medicine or not? Remember, even after getting your medical degree, you have to study medicine. You cannot say, medical studies I am going to do only for that many times, that's all. That's what the difference is between BCom and medical. BCom I studied. After that, I can afford to even forget about the whole thing and do my job. I don't need to know all those things. All that I have to learn is Excel. That's all. If I know Excel better, I can afford to forget all that I studied in BCom. 3 years of education is not necessary for me. But in medicine, can you do that? In law, can you do it? No. Every case, the lawyer has to keep taking out the books and references and read the case studies and this. He has to study. The law student also studies. The Supreme Court lawyer also studies. The Supreme Court judge also studies law. All of them have to study. But the way this fellow studies is different. The way he is studying is very different. You see, it's not the same. Similarly, you have to do rituals. You can't escape rituals. If you are bypassing rituals, means you have forgotten the very, that's a blunder. You see, what you have to attack is the mechanicalism that creeps in performance the rituals, for which the problem is what? It's not the ritual. The problem is mechanical. Why do you get mechanical? When do you get mechanical? Mechanical means even after outgrowing doing the same thing. Mechanical. To him, that's the advice. It's mechanical. But we are not outgrown it. When you have not outgrown it, still you can be performing those rituals mechanically. How? When you do the ritual is recommended to you to do it. Why? Because on your own, you are not able to get the reminders of the higher divinity, God. On your own, you can't remember God. Someone should come and remind you to remember God. Every Tuesday, Thursday, you remember God. That too only 7 to 8. If the class goes from 8-5, God Allah forget. TV serial is on. You see? Finished. We have the problem of us is we are not able to remember that we are supposed to remember God. The problem is that the problem is the forgetfulness. Now, to get that memory to remember God, you are recommended to perform the ritual. You are performing the ritual without remembering that purpose of that. That is where it becomes mechanical. Otherwise, it's all mechanical. You see, now, like we do know before the class, invocatory prayer we do know. For what? Without understanding the purpose of me doing that prayer, you keep doing it, you keep chanting it. Why? Because you are used to chanting that shloka before the class. Therefore, what to do? Like 2 weeks back, one person called me and said, Sir, can we have some other bhajan before the class? You play very nice it is. Superb it is, so nice for us. Yeah, you have any other bhajan? I said, oh, what you need, you can't get the, purpose is forgotten. See, losing the purpose of that particular ritual, essentially, all rituals are designed to be done by you again and again and again and again and again. Why? It's only to make you remember God. God is forgotten. Ritual, the action has taken more importance than that. That is where he says it has turned mechanical ritual. So he says three problems are there. The first problem is what? Blind faith. Second one, superstitious belief. Third one, mechanical ritual. Bhakti is not a fanatic attachment to a personal God. Only my God. Only my Guru can save the world. Nobody else in the world can save. Only my Guru is the best. That's what personal attachment. You get attached to that particular individual. And then you take that as a reference and say, that's what I'm going to do for everyone. All other people are all criticized. Everybody else I denounce and say, no, Krishna is the best. Rama Hanuman is the real hero of Ramayana. And there's another fellow standing there and say, Shiva, man. And today we don't talk about those gods. See, like, in the Vedic period, Indra, Varuna, Agni, Ashwini Kumaras, all those people are all, Surya, Bhagavan, and those people were treated powerful. And later on, Shiva, Vishnu, Ganesha, those people became more popular. Now, what is it? Even these people are also useless. Now is what? This man is the best. Nothing like Shankara, you say. Ultimate Shankara. Whatever you say, sir, Jiddu Krishnamurti, na? Only Jiddu Krishnamurti is philosophy. Everything else everyone else is useless. And another fellow comes and says, only Ramana can say. Advaita, Vasishta Advaita, Dvaita. Who is debating? Shankara never debated with Ramanuja. Ramanuja never debated with Madhva. If at all the debate has to happen, means that a debate should be happening between Shankara and Ramanuja, not you and me. You are not Shankara, I am not Ramanuja, nor I am Madhva. Right? What we call in Tamil, you are one Aravekadu, I am another Aravekadu. Half-boiled. Aravekadu means, half-boiled. You are one half-boiled, another one half-boiled. Between you and me, who are we to decide? Huh? Discussion, debate is there. No. Ramanuja, Narayana alone. Nobody else. In fact, Narayana himself is subservient to Krishna. You know that? Another fellow. This is what he says. Personal attachment and exclusion of other gods. You start denouncing. What happens there is, instead of pronouncing the greatness of your God, you will be spending more time in denouncing the other. Exactly like all our debates. You see, when you watch the debates, between the parties, instead of saying what I am going to do, they'll say, attack what all the faults of the other. Congress spokesperson will come and speak what? Not what Congress has done, not what they are going to do. They'll say what all the mistakes of BJP, what all the wrong ways BJP is governing the country, all wrong policies, everything is wrong in the policy. Doesn't matter what you say. I don't care, you are wrong. I don't know what you said, you are wrong. Finished. Now, next you call the BJP spokesperson. What is he going to do, sir? He also does the same thing. What is he going to do? Instead of explaining this, slowly the shift goes to denouncing the other. That is typical of that fanatic attachment to personal God. He is my God, there's no doubt about it. He is God to me, there's no doubts on that. I consider him as ultimate, no doubt about it. That doesn't mean nobody else can be or nothing else can be. That's where it becomes a problem, that personal fanatic attachment to personal God. The other things you can understand straight away, that's not a big problem. If not to a personal God, you get attached to a particular cult, that particular creed, and you start practicing the things that is recommended there. Like with all due respects, you see this, practices people have today. In every, creeds, it becomes a cult formation over a period of time. Every institution becomes a cult over a period of time. Why? In the name of devotion that happens. That's the best part. Who does that is, it is done by the person believing that to be devotional to God. I am devoted to the founder of that cult. Right? There, it develops into it. That creeds and cult, upholding of a cult or a creed against others. This is another problem is this. That happens in the name of bhakti. And he says, another thing that is happening in the name of bhakti is this praying to God for material benefit or mental solace. The 7 points are there. He packs it. Of course, the more details are coming on this, right? It takes, a few things and explains, more in details, it's coming. But he packs the whole thing in the very first paragraph. He says, what is not? Then rest of the things will be detailing about few aspects that he has pointed out here. He's not taking all that and explaining. He's just taking one or two to give an indication for us. Using that, we have to start doing our internal reflection and extract the ideas. Right, that's what we have to do here. Our job is that. So he says 7 points are given here. Think about it. Right. We'll see more in the next class.